The African Securities Exchanges Association, in partnership with the African Development Bank, are working on a project that will link 7 of Africa's largest exchanges and open them up to the rest of the continent and the world. The project, which is headquartered in Nairobi, was scheduled to be completed in the first quarter of next year. So let's get a status report on the project now with the project manager, Tom Minney. Tom joins us today from London. Good to have you with us, Tom. Good evening.
Good evening, boss, and thank you very much.
We appreciate your time. What's the reason for this African Exchanges Linkage project?
I think, as you know well, this is the market where, sorry, excuse the noise. This is the market where you see the most opportunities in the long term. So people have talked about Africa as the last growth frontier, but it's a pity if the opportunities is all for the foreign investors and not for the African investors. We're trying to make it easier for somebody in one of the 7 participating markets to be able to invest across into another participating market using their local stockbroker and reaching out to a stockbroker on the other exchange.
So don't investors in Africa already invest into other markets, Tom?
They do, yeah. There's quite a lot of cross-border trading already going on. People are sending emails, people are sending messages by phone. So there is trading. People are using some of the systems for it. I think we measured something like $1.1 billion in trading across the markets in 2019 by just doing a quick survey of some of the exchanges. So there is definitely quite a lot of trading going on, but we think there could be much more. And one of the key challenges is to get research to make it available so people can see the prices on the other markets. They can get much more familiar with the other African markets, and they can access people who are doing research, because obviously the local knowledge that you will get in the other markets is what's going to give you the edge in terms of being able to have access through your stockbroker to a local stockbroker. Say a Kenyan investor talks to his Kenyan broker that he knows well. The Kenyan broker can then contact a Nigerian broker that he knows well, and that Nigerian broker will be able to take him into the Nigerian stock exchange to buy some shares when they're at good prices.
So what opportunity do you think this project under the RCS leadership will offer to investors?
What we're really hoping is we'll be able to access not only the equities, but also the bonds and some of the new instruments, like we've got REITs, the property investment trusts, real estate investment trusts. We've got some ETFs that give you access to a market index. So a lot of African opportunities are opening up. And we're trying to make sure that they're not just available in London, New York, but also available in some of the other capitals like Cairo, Johannesburg, Casablanca, some of those participating markets, so that the investors there can also participate. And it's particularly important when you look at the institutional investor base in Africa. I think this is something that's changing quite dramatically in Africa in the last couple of years, that you're seeing a big rise in terms of the pension funds. You know that well. In Nigeria, how powerful the pension fund industry is becoming. And that story is being repeated across the continent as people are believing more into long-term savings. They're investing into pension funds, and they're looking for ways to find long-term investments. And that means equities, that means bonds, and opportunities on the other African markets. So we're trying to make it easier for an institutional investor or a retail investor to be able to look around the whole continent where there are undervalued opportunities.
So what is the appetite for this project in Africa for this? You've been working on this now, Tom, for a couple of months.
Yeah, so I've been working on it for about a year, drawing the project together. And we did a survey with about 50 of the asset managers across all of our markets. And in general, they were very positive about, what the opportunities are, where they can find opportunities. That was very encouraging for us to get that feedback. We also asked them some of the things they look for. And it's interesting, they're looking obviously for prices, but they're really looking for governance. They're looking for where markets are well regulated, where economies are predictable. They want to invest in the companies that are well run. So there's a strong emphasis to try and bring in good regulation to make sure that a lot of the markets, and luckily with this project, we're working with 7 of the best African exchanges. So we've got well advanced markets with high levels of regulation, high standards among the stockbrokers, and so on. So, and also with the listed companies, we're seeing some very top quality, even world-beating companies available for them. So we're finding a lot of interest from the institutional investors.
So research is at the back end and the front end of any investment, as there was. So research investments is very important. So what should investors look out for when they're looking into African markets in terms of the research that they should be at their fingertips?
What we're trying to do is to draw together ways. A lot of people are producing research, but it's not always reaching to the investors. So a further plan that the first steps we're working on at present, which is still continuing, is to try and create the order routing platform, a technology linkage between stockbrokers that will make it easier for them to send an order across border to one of the other exchanges. Second step after that will be to find ways to link up those people who are producing research with the people that are looking for research. So say you're interested in breweries, you think people might be about to drink a lot of beer to try and help themselves through the hot weather. And you'll look at different breweries in different markets. And how do you go into a market and find, say, the specialist researchers on that? We're going to try and create a hub where people can come together and see if they can access that research easily and contact the people who are producing the research. So just trying to make things flow across the borders a lot more easily.
What is the project timeline here, or the timetable? And are we right on course right now in terms of when you started and the initial deadline or timeline set for the first quarter of 2021?
So we had a lot of unknowns when we were setting up the project. In particular, quite a lot of the processes were not known. And the biggest unknown, obviously, is the providers of the system that we're looking at. We're looking to try and do a customized off-the-shelf system, meaning that there are quite a lot of information providers who have something that does very close to what we're looking for. So hopefully it's not too many months, but we won't know answers on that until we've had a chance to talk to them. So although I'm project manager, I'm trying not to stick timelines too hard in the sand and sacrifice quality and durability in terms of those timelines. It's very exciting. We have so much support from the 7 exchanges, all participating fully in the project. And we've got some top quality bidders now. We're just about to go into the stage of working with bidders to finalize what on their potential offerings. And so we're going to talk to them and see what they can offer in terms of timelines. We may be able to get back on track. COVID has obviously knocked us around a bit. We've had to move around a bit, but carry on working from home rather than the systems we had before. But I think hopefully we'll be able to push forward. And if not the first quarter, we should be moving quite soon around that time.
Great. A final one quickly, Tom. How does this project, the ASEA linkage project, tie in with the move towards the AfCFTA, which new deadline has been set for early next year, all things being equal?
Well, I think when you look at the founding principles of the African Economic Community were set in Abuja in Nigeria, and those include free movement of capital across the continent. To say that Africans shouldn't be able to invest in the best opportunities in their own continent, that's clearly part of the vision of the African Union. So free movement of capital, drawing together the stock exchanges, trying to find ways to make it easier to choose investments. And what we're aiming to do is build these markets. So we're aiming to increase the liquidity, increase the quality of the markets, and increase the competition between the markets, so that we've got more opportunities for the investors. I mentioned those big pension funds in all of the countries. They should have more long-term opportunities to invest in. And we've got more activity, more trading happening on the market. So we should be seeing a bit of a paradigm shift in terms of the quality of the markets. And that's very much in line with the principles of the African Union and the African Continental Free Trade Area, to have free movement opportunities across the continent.
Thank you so much for your time today. We wish you all the best on this project, Tom Minney. Thank you so much, the project manager at the African Exchanges Linkage project.